Welcome to the Voice of Women podcast with the purpose to empower women and disrupt the gender gap. I am your host, Priya Kandula. Welcome to the Voice of Women podcast. It's another month and it's another episode. And this month is my favorite topic because this is something I have been trying to hack forever. And this month's topic is productivity. This is the truth behind productivity. We have found so many things that might work for us, and then there are things which might not work for us. And this is my take on productivity. I've been trying to read so many books, listen to podcasts, and that's one thing that I found. What works for one doesn't have to work for another. And sometimes it's about knowing what tools are out there and seeing what works for us, or maybe even sometimes mix matching these tools and seeing what might, help us try to be more productive in our lives. Let's talk about some of the most used tools out there in the industry and what the productivity gurus say, work for all of us. The first is a very famous to-do list. We all have a love-hate relationship with to-do lists, and I'm sure we all have made a to-do list at some point of times in our lives. Do these work or they don't? So this is what I've learned about to-do lists. Instead of making one huge, large to-do list with 50 things on it, it's important that we make a to-do list based on our priorities. Like, for example, what is important, very important, or today, this week, this month. Or we can even categorize them differently: home, errands, kids, work, etc. Or we can also say something as urgent. We'll look at it this week. We'll get to it when I can. So this takes away a lot of the stress of looking at 50 things on the to-do list versus looking at only the tasks or the list that are there when doing that specific category of work. The second is to get away from to-do lists. People ask us to do this thing called scheduling. Scheduling is nothing but putting down on your calendar the exact time on when you're going to do it, or what day you're going to do it. So basically, the concept behind scheduling is to implant an intention. We are more likely to do the work when we know the place and time of when we want to do it versus just putting it on a to-do list and saying, we'll get to it. So maybe the most important tasks are something that, we have to schedule, and also, decide a place and time we're going to do it. So we're more likely to actually get the task done. And the third is from the book, Eat That Frog. And that basically says, do the most important thing the first thing in the morning. Whatever is the most important thing, whatever is that needs your attention immediately, that is what you have to focus on first thing in the morning. I also read this book called The One Thing, where they talk about how the willpower is the highest in the morning, and as the day goes by, it decreases. That is why we are more likely to grab a glass of wine or eat that piece of chocolate at the end of the workday or in the night and not in the morning. So that gives us another reason why it's important for us to do the most important task in the morning. There's also another concept called deep work. Deep work is nothing but blocking out blocks of time in your calendar, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or whatever works for you. And in this time, you're going to do the work that is the most important. And this, you have to try to make it into a routine and a habit. So every day, you block out those 2 hours of time and you do the most important task during that hours. And the remaining time, you take care of the rest of the tasks which are on your list. I also learned that how our values are important in this whole productivity game. Because depending on our values and how we prioritize our values, that is how we're going to prioritize our tasks as well. For example, I was supposed to prepare for this podcast last night, but me and my son were having a conversation and one thing led to another, and we started Googling some stuff and trying to learn things. For me, teaching my son, being with him, and ensuring that, he always has this curiosity of learning alive is more priority than recording this podcast. So here I am. So it also helps having your values and also prioritizing your day based on your values. So that is another productivity hack, which I really, really loved. I hope this podcast has helped you with some of the tools out there where, it's going to help you with your productivity. And like I said, maybe you have to mix two tools here and there. Maybe one tool is going to work for you, but there is one thing for sure. Not one tool is going to work for all. And that is why I think there are so many ways of being productive. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please let me know if you have any other amazing productivity tools. Please put it in your comments. And I would love to read and hear and share with the group again. Thank you so much. I am truly grateful to you for taking the time to listen, learn, and share today. Please do share it with your friends and family if you got any value from it. Stay tuned for more stories, insights, and tools to empower each other. Let's break the glass ceiling together.